super excited to be here to talk to you guys today a little bit about brands. Now, not just any brands, but cattle brands. We're going to talk about what they are, what they mean, and how that relates to leadership and ourselves. So show of hands, who here knows what a cattle brand is? Yeah, I see a lot of hands. So anyone with their hand up, who would like to share with the class? Yeah, a way for cattle ranchers to identify their cattle. So now that we have our definition of a cattle brand, let's take the next moment to think to ourselves a little few characteristics of a cattle brand. And when I say go, we're going to turn to our table partner and share our thoughts about those characteristics of a brand. We'll have about a minute to do this. What can I clarify? Awesome, go. Who will share what they said or their partner said about cattle brands? Yeah. They're simple and they're unique. So we could say that they're maybe personal. Yeah, we're gonna write that as our first trait of a cattle brand. All right, what else? What else can we think of about cattle brands? So is my family's brand gonna be the same as someone else's family brand? No, they're gonna be different, right? So a story about my family is my grandpa's brand was a bar L and a lazy H because their name was Lester Hammond. Now, this is not just a name, but it's a name that's been passed down through my family. So my great uncle's name was Lester, my father's name was Lester, and now I have a cousin named Lester. So I think it's fair to say that cattle brands can maybe tell a little bit of a story. Yeah, so that's gonna be our second characteristic of our brand. All right, what else? Let's do one more. Yeah. Yeah, you can freeze brand them or do them with heat. Once you put a brand on, can you take it off? No, so we could say they're permanent. Yeah, that's going to be our final characteristic of our brand. All right, so with the three characteristics that we just defined, personal, tell a story, and permanent, how do you guys think that could relate to leadership? Yeah, everybody has their own story. So maybe what stories we want to tell other people? Yeah, what else? Let's do one for person. Yeah, we're all different. We all have different traits. I like that. So with the three concepts that we just identified, I'm going to ask you guys three guiding questions, which are, what traits are important to us? And then with tell a story, we're going to ask, what story do we want to tell others? And with permanent, what mark do we want to leave on those around us? So to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what an answer for these questions could look like, a personal trait that's really important to me is adaptability. I want to find success no matter what comes my way. And a story that I want to tell others is a strong story of my community. I want to show people where I come from and reflect the stories of who built me. And a permanent mark that I want to leave on those around me is inclusion. So I'm going to hand out a sheet of paper. Once you receive that sheet of paper, feel free to start answering these three questions. You'll have about 5 minutes to do this. What can I clarify? Awesome.
Communication, tell a story that it's okay to be. No, okay. Determination.
We now get to make our own personal brands. So the way that this could look is, because I said that my personal trait was adaptability, maybe that's an A. And I said the story that I want to tell is one of community, maybe that's a C. And a permanent mark that I want to leave on those around me is an I. Maybe my brand looks something like this. Now, if you're a more visual learner and you don't want to use letters and you'd like to use symbols, then that's okay too. Maybe my inclusion is a world. Maybe my community is a person. And maybe my adaptability is a gear turning. So there's two ways that you guys can approach this. Now, when I say go, we are going to start drafting our own personal brands with the answers to these three questions. All right, when I was walking around, I saw some really cool cattle brands. So would anyone like to share with the class what they created? Yeah, Sophie.
So my brand, my words were background, unique, and purpose. And so like on this side is a B for background, and then on this side is a P for purpose, and then in the middle it's like unique, because like we're all unique, and then there's like an arrow going through to like for our journey through going from your background to your purpose.
I love it. Let's do snaps for that. Through this workshop, we were able to understand how cattle brands can relate to leadership. We identified the personal traits that are important to us, the story we want to tell others, and a permanent mark that we want to leave on those around us. I hope through this workshop you guys were able to dive a little bit deeper into yourself and your leadership styles. And I hope that these little cow tags can serve as a reminder of the traits and values that we identified today.